Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela, aka Stitching Brit, and today is Tuesday the 25th of October 2022 and this is Flosstube number 44. So first and foremost, a massive welcome to anybody that is new to my channel. I noticed that I've had quite a jump in subscribers, so thank you and welcome. And thank you to everybody that's been with me for a while or since the beginning. I really do appreciate your support. And I also want to say a massive thank you to all of you as well, who, especially those of you that watched my last Flosstube, where I talked about the fact that I'd been gone for a few months, and one of the reasons was that I had sadly had a miscarriage, and the absolute outpouring of love and support and comments in both on my channel, on my Instagram, in my email. I just couldn't believe the support that you guys were showing, and also the fact that a lot of you guys had been in the same position as well at some point. So yeah, thank you, just really from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that. So anyway, back to the stitching. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I have got quite a lot of projects done, which I will go through with you now. So the first one that I have got to show you is one of my favourites. Well, they're all my favourites, but this one particularly because it's so brightly coloured, I love it, is by Donna Gelsinger, and it's Mini Sunflower Cottage. And this was a sale started by Emma X Stitch, and a few others. I know Jemima, the Rocking Stitch, is stitching it. I know Ashley, the Stitching Penguin, is stitching it. So there's quite a few of us stitching it, but it is honestly such a lovely piece to stitch. And with all of my projects today, if I've got any before pictures, I will put them in. But this is where I am up to. Let me just fold it properly. Probably should have had it ready beforehand, but never mind. So that's what I've done. I'm now at the end of the design. So this is the whole width of it. This is the mini. And I think I was focusing a bit more on the heart and this pink. You can't, some of the colours are quite light in that heart. But yeah, really lovely colour. You have to like blue or like stitching with blue, because there is an awful lot of blue to this piece. But yeah, so this is stitched on 20 count. All of my pieces are full cross. I do, and it's always 2 over 1. I tried 10 stitch, didn't like it. So yeah, always full cross with my pieces. But this one is 20 count and I did 733 stitches. So I think on my last Flosstube video, I'd done 1 day of this, where I showed you what I'd done. And then that evening after my Flosstube video, after I did everything with my Flosstube video, I stitched on it and I just couldn't put it down. I think I was stitching until like 1 o'clock in the morning. My needle was literally on fire. I was like, I just can't put this piece down. I don't necessarily have a particular stitching method for this piece. So yeah, just kept stitching really. So yeah, 733 stitches and I'm now at 10.79%. So I've reached the 10% mark. And next time I hope to fill in more of this area and a bit more of the heart as well. So that's Sunflower Cottage. The next piece that I stitched on was one of my Amy Stewart pieces, Story Keep, Life is an Open Book, New York. And this one, as I mentioned in my last Flosstube video, I just couldn't find my groove with it. So as you know, many of my pieces I've converted to the Royal Rose method of stitching, and I just thought I'm going to do that with this piece. So that's what I've done, and I can honestly say I've found my groove again. So this is, let me get that there. this is where I am up to with this one. Now, as I say, Royal Rose, this, you have a lot of part threads and it's not for everybody. I was chatting with Sarah from Stitching Mummy about the Royal Rose method, and she was like, I don't know whether to try it, and yeah, it wasn't for her. I think she mentions that in her latest Flosstube video, and that's okay. You know, everybody has different stitching methods, different ways they like to stitch, and I've got different methods for all of my projects. You definitely have to like park threads, and yeah, basically, and obviously you end your thread to the right here like that. But what I can tell you is that I have stitched more on this piece doing the Royal Rose method than what I've done in a long time, and I'm just really pleased that I have converted it now. So this one, what can I tell you? This is stitched on 18 count Ada, and I did 545 stitches and I'm at 9.04%. And I think I was beating myself up a bit because I started this one before my London piece and I haven't got very far with it, and I was like, why have I not got very far? This is confetti heavy, very confetti heavy. You can see just by the part threads how many colours there were. I think I did one square, you know, the 10 by 10 square, and I'm sure I used about 85 of the 80 something colours. That's how it felt. It was just like every stitch was a different colour. But because of that, I'm glad I'm using this method. So yeah, this is this New York version. I'm doing all three. So I've done the Paris one, that's all done, finished, and I'm doing the London one as well. So that's the New York version. So it's nice to finally have found my groove with this piece. It's so frustrating, isn't it, when you're stitching on a piece and you love the piece and you love the design, but you haven't quite got your groove with your stitching. So I feel like I found it now. So the next one, my weekend piece, is my World Travel Bookshelf, another one by Amy Stewart. And oh my goodness, this design, I just feel like I see different things every time I look at this design. I feel like I'm seeing a new part of the picture every time. But this is one again that I converted into my Royal Rose method. It's on quite a big frame, and this is where we're up to. So like I said, I did 1,000 stitches. The picture's really coming in now, just there. And interestingly, I didn't work on this weekend just gone because I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can move it closer. I've got all these sort of gaps because when I started this, obviously I did it diagonally, then I went cross country, and because of the gaps, it was putting me off this weekend. I'm going to tackle it this weekend though, and I don't know whether just to fill the gaps or whether to try and do it as part of the Royal Rose method. I'm not sure, but when I get to these bits and I'm doing the Royal Rose method, it's a dream. Especially, like I say, for these Amy Stewart pieces that are confetti heavy. So, and what I found is the pieces that I have that are gridded, I do the Royal Rose method and I love it. The pieces like, for example, Sunflower Cottage that isn't gridded, I don't enjoy Royal Rose, that method, with those kind of pieces. So again, it swings and roundabouts as to swings and roundabouts. That's a British saying. I don't know where it's come from. Anyway, I digress. But anyway, British saying there. It's kind of, I guess it's everyone's preference on the piece that they're doing and how they're doing it. But I just love how this picture is now starting to form. So, like I said, I did 1,000 stitches, so I'm at 3.51%. And this is on 20 count, which, as you guys know, is my favourite count. So that was that one. Let me just put that over here. So like I mentioned just now, I'm doing the Story Keep Life is an Open Book London, and I really got into the rhythm of this one during September. So I've made it a focus piece every Tuesday. So every Tuesday I will stitch on this. and I'd only done a little bit before I'd converted it to Royal Rose. And this is where we're up to. Now, not much more since you last saw it last week. I only managed to do one sort of tower, or 2 10 by 10 blocks, or 200 stitches. But yeah, I'm just loving how this is coming together. I'm starting now on the blue. You can just about see the blue. I'm just about here, just there where the blue is, at the very, very top. So yeah, just starting on the blue. There is an awful lot of green in this one. Again, you have to like stitching with green if you're going to stitch on this one. But yeah, not much more I can say about this one. It is stitched on 18 count, and I'm at 9.39%. Interestingly, this one I started way after the New York one, but I'm a little bit further along in percentage. So that's why I think I wanted to catch up with New York one, and I'm almost at the same. I'm almost at the same percentage now on both of them. So like I say, this one is my focus piece every Tuesday, at least until the end of the year every Tuesday, and my World Travel bookshelf at least until the end of the year every weekend. Unless, of course, I get to the weekend and change my mind like I did this weekend. So my next piece is my Nemesis piece, and I've had to make it a focus piece for every Monday. And this is Mini Virus Detected. And as you saw, I think it was last Flosstube I showed you, I've bought what I call the companion piece. So this is Mini Virus Detected, and I've now got Mini Vaccinated as well. And when I get them both done, they'll be framed and put together. I love the picture. This is by Randall Spangler, by the way. I do love the picture, but for anybody that's been with me for a while will know I was stitching on this piece when my pattern keeper died on my tablet. It wasn't my tablet that went, I don't know what happened, but pattern keeper went, and it left me with blank squares, basically, and not even any symbols in the squares. So I lost all of my progress, which is a reminder to everybody to back up your progress. I do it on a weekly basis now. Any projects that I've worked, just email it to myself, and I can always delete the email. You know, that's no problem. I'd rather do that than lose all of my progress, because let me tell you, this has been an absolute nightmare, and still is a nightmare, inputting all of my progress, to the point where I was like, am I just going to start this again? Because yeah, I wasn't, it's just been so difficult that I really contemplated starting again. And I know I've done over 25% on this piece. So, and I'm still not sure, actually. I'm still not sure if I should start again. But anyway, I'm making it a point to work on it every Monday. And as I stitch, I am inputting the progress around where I'm stitching. I don't really have a method, so if anybody's got any top tips on any way that I can input these stitches any easier, that would be great, because it's really not easy given the way I've stitched this piece. So this is where I'm up to, and what I decided to work on was, I think I did more of the computer, and I then think I decided to, what did I do? Oh yeah, because this was my first ever piece that I put into Pattern Keeper. It was also my first piece that I ever worked on 20 count. And I decided that I was going to do page by page. So I did this page, fine. I moved on to this page, and then I got a bit carried away with where I was stitching, and I started stitching the dragon. And is it dragon, alligator? I don't know. Anyway, I got a bit carried away with where I was stitching, so I didn't actually necessarily do it by page in the end, which is where the problem has become, because as you can see, I've still got quite a few gaps on this page. So what I decided was, I think I was working in the books here, I decided to, obviously this is all blank on my pattern keeper, as in I've got the symbol, I've put it onto a new tablet, just because I wasn't sure if it was the tablet, but I've realised now it's not the tablet. That's fine. And I'm inputting it again, but obviously it looks like I haven't stitched anything. So I've been inputting, so this page was fine. This page I could input into Pattern Keeper, no problem. This page, where I've got the gaps, much harder, because it's not like Pattern Keeper's in symbols as opposed to colours. So what I've done is I've decided to try and do it page by page again. However, adding a bit of the red for the computer, because as you can see from the design, there's an awful lot of red for the computer. So every now and then I'll do a couple of lengths of thread on the computer bit. So I think I worked on the book. So I found the symbols for the books, and there was some gaps around the book. So I've been working on that, and basically just working until my thread has finished, finding somewhere where it's not been stitched and working on it. And then as I've been stitching, like I say, inputting my progress as I go, which is very long and tedious, but it's been the only way that I can do it, really, because there's so many greens in this dragon. It's been quite a nightmare inputting all of those stitches. So what I'm trying to do is find a green that I haven't stitched on, stitch on it, and then as I'm stitching, like I say, input the progress. It's just long, tedious, and thankfully the design is brilliant and I love the design. Otherwise I think I probably would have put this in timeout or restarted it, and like I say, I'm still on the fence about restarting it. But when I look at it, I think, look at all those hours I've spent, I can't restart it. This piece up here, the sort of shelving, if you like, was a nightmare. And I know a few people have said that they've stitched this. What a nightmare that is to stitch. I don't know why, even with Pattern Keeper, it was a nightmare. And I started trying to fill in the gaps, but I felt like I was making mistakes on it yesterday. So I've left that one, and I will come back to that. I know somebody suggested that I did the Real Rose method, but start from this corner and work my way in with a Real Rose method. But quite honestly, I just couldn't get my head around doing it backwards, because I'm used to doing it like left to right. It would mean going from that way. It would completely confuse me trying to do it backwards, and I need everything to be quite easy. And at the end of the day, stitching, it's a hobby. It needs to be enjoyable. If I am trying to go backwards on a method that I like the other way, it wouldn't work. As I love stitching on this, which is why I think I am persevering with this and trying to input all of the stitches as I go into Pattern Keeper. I'm just trying to think where else I work. So I think I definitely worked in the books, definitely worked on this. I think I filled a bit more of the mask in, and I think I filled a bit more of these in as well. Yeah, but like I say, it's not as fast as what I would like if I was just stitching it normally, but obviously when you hold it back, it's just such an amazing picture. So that's that one, and the kind of explanation around that. So if I didn't say, that one stitched on 20 count. My next piece is a Sal I have joined in its Christmas Memory Jars by Susan Bates. This is a gorgeous chart. These are Christmas jars. You can get summer jars as well. Susan Bates, you can find her on Etsy and get her charts from there. This is a digital download. I've actually not tried it in Pattern Keeper. Maybe I should, as it's a digital download. But I think because of all the back stitching, I wasn't sure if it would be Pattern Keeper compatible. So, like I say, it's a Sal, and I think it's every so many days, you start on a new jar, and at the moment everybody's on jar 7. This was started, by the way, by Cross Stitch Bunny. I am on jar 4 because I'm just quite behind, and this is where mine is at. It's looking very pretty, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out this Nudge frame. I think it's, yeah, they're called Nudge, from Nudge, I think it's called. Is it from Nudge? No, Hobby Jobby, I think, but they're called Nudge frames. I'm going to take it out this and just serge the edges and then put it back, because I don't think the bottom of this jar will reach. So yeah, jar 4, and I need, as you can see, to do a lot of back stitching. I started the back stitching in this one, but I think because I work on this piece during the evenings, I do this while sort of we're getting ready for dinner, so I do about half an hour a day. While we're sort of getting everything ready for dinner, I sort of do about half an hour, and then because of that I like to do back stitching during the day. So I haven't had much time during the day where I've had chance to do the back stitching, but I know that I need to catch up with that. But how awesome is this looking? One thing I will say is with the back stitching, there is a lot of back stitching, and there's a lot of you know, fractional, what I would call fractional back stitching, and that's not easy on 20 count. So I don't know if I was to do these again, would I do 20 count? I'm going to do the summer ones at some point, and I'm going to do that on 20 count because I've already got the fabric. But if I were to do them both again, don't know I would do it on 20 count because of that. So either way, still really lovely, and hopefully next time you see it I'll have that jar finished and at least be on to the next jar, hopefully. They don't actually take that long to stitch up. They are really quite easy to stitch. It's like I say, it's just the back stitching that takes the time. So yes, anything else I can say with that? No, not really. So my next one is another one where I just could not stop. My needle was just flying, and it is You Make My Heart Melt by Donna Gelsinger. And I'm stitching this one with Ashley from Stitching Penguin. She started hers, I think she started, actually I don't know what count she started hers on actually, but she started hers, saw me do mine and that I had cropped it and thought, oh, that's a great idea. We were messaging. She's like, can I stitch it with you? I was like, yes. So we've got a hashtag, You Make My Heart Melt Sal. And if anybody would like to join us, then you're welcome. And this is so pretty. I know years ago there was a freebie on Heaven and Earth, and it had cropped the penguins and the hearts. It was just like a little square around. But my cropping, I've done it so I've got the whole of the heart and the penguin. So when mine is done, that's what it will look like. And this is where I am at. Let me just fold it. There we go. Now this here, so basically I've pretty much worked on this pink here, and just here is the start of a penguin shaped head. So I wanted to get to the penguin to see how far down it was. Now that I know, I'm going to go back and go across the whole page. You can't really see it just because of the colour of the fabric and the colour of the thread, but I am up to here on it. So I've got about up to here. I think that'll be where the end is. What I'm going to do is a kind of typewriter method where I take a 10 by 10 square all the way along, and I'm going to stitch each symbol in that square, going wherever the thread takes me, or wherever the symbols take me, I should say, and then go back to the next one. So I'm just going to go left to right on each of the 10 by 10 squares, I don't know if I'm making any sense. Yeah, so left to right, all the way across. Take a 10 by 10 square and take each symbol in that square, left to right, work on each of the symbols and then move on to the next square, left to right. And then when I've done that top row, I'll move to the second row and just work my way down like that. And until I get to these penguins. I don't want to do the penguins yet because I know if I do the penguins, I'll struggle to come back up here. So I want to get a lot of this done. I want to come down to here at least before I do any of the penguins. Let's see if I can hold off. So this one is stitched on 20 count and I've did 1,320 stitches, mostly like I say that pink, and I'm at 4.01%. And I had a question in my last Flosstube to kind of show how I did the crop. Now, I am not an expert at cropping at all, but I will show you how I did it and my method for it really. So let me see if I can show you this. Oh, as you can hopefully see, if I do it like that, yeah. So that's the whole chart. So I basically filled in the whole chart on Pattern Keeper as though I'd stitched all of it. Then I saw the design that I wanted. So I obviously wanted the heart and the penguins. And then I literally went one 10 by 10 square out of it and I undid those stitches, if that makes any sense. And then I knew that that was the area that I wanted to stitch. So I just undid all the stitches inside and then that's how I did it. And then that left me with a blank square. So as you can probably see, hopefully you can, let me just have a look. I've cut off pretty much the whole of the top pages and a whole page from the bottom, because obviously I've cut off the half a page at the very bottom and then half of the page above it, so it's basically a whole page, and then half a page each side. So I did cut off quite a bit. Hopefully you can see that. And I hope that helps really. Like I say, I'm not an expert. I don't know if I've done it right. I hope I have. But that's a way of doing it. It did take a long time on Pattern Keeper to fill in every colour and then to undo it. Oh, my light's just gone out for some bizarre reason. Anyway, we'll carry on. But yeah, so that's basically how I did that. So that was all the stitching I've done in the last couple of weeks. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing all my progress. I will be back in a couple of weeks' time. And I hope you guys stay safe and well. And I will look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time. So happy stitching and bye for now.